welcome to Focus on B, the single-part video series where I take a look at a game that I'm not necessarily sure I want to do a Let's Play of, but I definitely want to play and talk about. Wait a second, I've already done this on a long-lost episode. Well, lost, I've actually released it a long time ago on Vivid Noise. Oh my god, the metal. Let's go. This is Painkiller, but it's not just any Painkiller. Look at how fucking weird my movement is. Look at how the game is clearly not running at my native monitor resolution. It's running at 480p. Why? Well, I mean, that just gave it away. We're playing Painkiller Hell Wars, the 360 version of... I'm a fucking idiot. 360. I mean, to be fair, it's a very well-done port. But it's not quite 360. Yeah, the Xbox, original Xbox. I almost wanted to call it the Xbox One, but that's not really how it works. The original Xbox version of this game, of Painkiller, and I think it features a couple stages from Battle Out of Hell as well. So why am I doing this? Oh, because I am fascinated by how different this is in terms of gameplay. I mean, obviously, the core design, all the levels are the exact same, the music is just as banging as ever. I'm going to talk about that a little bit more, actually. I've been doing a little bit of research regarding that. But what amazes me is the controls. So, obviously, I'm going to be looking around like this, right, as you can see. Oh, the music suddenly... What the fuck is that? What is that? Jesus. Okay, I think there's certain things that just explode in the terrain, whatever. The gameplay is basically the same, but look at my movement. Look how when I strafe up, or like when I strafe diagonally, I go fast as fuck. Now, I'm not sure if that's to do with the way that X-Emu, or Z-Mu, how I like to call it, emulates the analog stick, but when I hold, you know, E and S together to go diagonally like this, you go fucking flying so much faster than even bunny hopping. And you know, that's like the thing about this game, is the bunny hopping. Painkiller is known for requiring that rhythmic tap of the space bar. I'm just going to want to get some help. I'm playing on the Insomnia difficulty as opposed to Daydream like I normally do because I decided I was going to stop being such a pansy. No, it's actually because the game is just not that hard. And obviously it's the console version. They've probably dumbed it down just a teensy bit in terms of difficulty, although there's actually not as much auto-aiming as you'd think there would be. This isn't like with, for example, Serious Sam on Xbox, where there's like this giant reticle, and it makes it blatantly obvious, like, hey, look at me, I'm aiming for you. Here, there's probably some vague level of assistance, but it doesn't feel too powerful, as in, I don't feel like the game is literally just aiming for me. There definitely is something going on, but not quite to the same extent, and that's totally fine. I can't say I would complain if the auto-aiming was a little more intrusive almost, but as you can see, I do have a chance of missing. Now, fortunately, enemies in this game have a massive hitbox. They don't like to move around too much, but look at this, let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's just do a traditional bunny hop, right? So as you can see, you go pretty fast. But let's just move diagonally, and as you can see, you go pretty fucking fast still, and it requires way less effort. So there's gotta be... It's either something to do with the physics, or it's something to do with the way it emulates. I don't know. Have any of you guys actually played this game? I'm asking because Focus on B seems to get slightly better views than the rest of the video, so there's a higher chance someone watching this will have actually played this game on the original Xbox. Was it like that? Does your dude, I don't even know his name, does he actually move that quickly? Wait, what's going on right now? Where the fuck am I even supposed to go? I can never figure out where we're supposed to go in this level design, honestly. Am I going backwards or am I... No, I think I'm going the wrong way. Oh, there you are. Does he move the way I'm moving right now, or is this just an X-Emu thing? Maybe I should try Painkiller HD on Xenia to compare. I've played the PC version of that, of course, but it plays like how you'd expect it to, right? But I've never played the Xbox 360 version, which, of course, I'm going to go ahead and buy an obsolete piece of hardware to do... No, of course I'm not going to do that. Although it depends on if it emulates correctly, to be fair. God, the music's so good. So, yeah, speaking of the music, I was going to talk about it a little bit. So obviously it's really cool, right? But what makes it very interesting to me is the fact that this is a band that started in the late 1970s. Like, you can find albums of these guys. They're called Mech. They're a Polish band, obviously, because it's a Polish game. Kind of like Undercode for Crow Team, right? Except that Undercode are still, like, properly around, and they're basically, they're the Serious Sam band. Let's not kid ourselves. They're the Crush 40 of Serious Sam. The Crush 40 of first-person shooters, right? They only exist because of the games, and that's okay. Also, we have loading screens. Now, because this is an emulator, 1, 2, 3, done. That's it. On real hardware, I think it's a little bit longer. I remember watching a video about this, and I don't remember who... Shit, I don't remember who made it. It was a really good video on this particular version of the game. It was made about 7 years ago, I think. Well, that would be 8 years ago, but whatever, it doesn't matter. Point is, they pointed out that the load times are a little bit long, which I guess would make sense on real hardware, but unfortunately, both this and Xenia as well, when you play Sonic 06 on Xenia, it's like there's no loading times, which is amazing. Well, they're still there, but they're not as long. But yeah, anyway, what was I saying about the band? Yeah, so Mech, they started in like, you know, their first album was like 1983. Those guys are like as, I guess, OG, if that makes sense, as Metallica, you know what I mean? Their first album was 83. That's insane, but their sound was so different. It had this like very progressive sound to it. Not a lot of weird time signatures from what I've listened to. I haven't listened to like their entire discography or anything. They haven't made that many albums, but still. But it has like a lot of... the chords that they use are just insane. So it's really interesting to me hearing this, because this is by the same band, and it's so distinctly early 2000s, just new metal, but it has like the progressive element. Some of their riffs have these really strange time signatures. In fact, the theme song to this game, which doesn't even play in the game, I think it was for an ad or a trailer or something, it was called, you know, Painkiller, Kill the Pain. That song is in, it has this riff in 9/8. Most of it is in 4/4, but the riff is in 9/8. It's like, you know, like the accent is just so fucking weird. I've learned to play it on guitar. Well, I probably play it wrong in terms of the tabs because I play in standard. They're clearly in drop C sharp, or just in C sharp standard, but so the tabs will be different, but the notes are the same. That's what matters. And yeah, it's real tricky to play the way I'm playing it, but anyway, back to the game. So as you can see, the auto-aiming almost doesn't exist. I'm having a pretty difficult time aiming, even with the shotgun, which typically has a bit more spread. And yes, I will admit, this game, I've heard a lot of critique thrown at this game regarding the fact that it's a little bit mindless. Okay, yes, it doesn't have as strong of a relationship between the enemies and the weapons as something like Serious Sam. I'll admit that. Serious Sam definitely has that going for it a lot more, where you really want to be switching this weapon's best against this guy, and the game just has more personality, I'll admit. The enemies in this game don't really have that same character. They're just kind of like, they're a little too gritty, a little too dark, a little too just kind of gross. Right, because with a Serious Sam, there's almost like a charm to everyone. Like, you like the characters, you like the enemies, even when they blow you up when you blow your face off, like the fucking beheaded kamikaze, they're iconic, you know what I mean? Or the Syrian beheaded soldiers and the Rocketeers and the wearables, all that stuff. It's like, they're iconic enemies. These are just kind of... Ninja guy. I killed him. He's now spazzing on the floor. Can I crouch? No, I can't. I can. Yeah, this is how you map your weapons, by the way. So let's say I want to use this weapon instead, or this one, right? You have to map it to a different direction. It's a little bit odd. Oh, this fucking riff kills me with the squealies. Also, there's a lot of stuff that's destructible in the environment, so you want to be careful with that. For example, yeah, because the enemies can use that against you. You have no idea how many times I've been killed here because some fucker just decides to blow up the extinguisher. It's not intentional. This game does not have fear AI. That's not what's happening. What's really happening is those projectiles they shoot just happen to hit the thing while I'm standing next to it, and I die because of that. So yeah, I understand the criticisms, but I don't think this game is... It's definitely more of a skill-focused game as opposed to a knowledge-focused game, if that makes sense. As in, you don't really have to remember, oh, what weapon is best against who. Very few weapons in this game have any particular strength or weakness. It's just kind of use the shotgun for everything. You use the shotgun until you run out of ammo, and you switch to something else. And you use that until you're out of ammo, then you use the Painkiller itself, which is actually a really cool weapon. It's probably my favorite melee weapon of any first-person shooter ever, to be honest. Apart from maybe the iconic knife from Counter-Strike, and of course, the gauntlet from Quake 3. I really like using that too. When you use it, it's like humiliation. We got a checkpoint. Let's go ahead and collect these souls, because of course they give us health, but we get more health from this anyway. See if I can get some health. You really, ammo. You really want to scavenge for ammo in this game, and it's not that... You could see that as kind of a problem because, oh, well, you're constantly low on ammo. Yes, but look at how massive these environments are. Look at this shit. Like, it's not that big. It's not really that impressive by today's standards, to be fair. And honestly, the Xbox can do better. But at the same time, I really do find this stuff, this scale, really cool. And it's refreshing, right? And the loading times aren't even that plentiful, to be honest. So far, we've only run into one of them. Right, let's go ahead and just do that. It shows that this is a very well done port, and the frame rate, you can't see it because I'm recording this at 30, but the frame rate is buttery smooth. Okay, I wouldn't say buttery, but it's definitely nice. It runs at more than 30. It definitely tries to target 60. It doesn't achieve it constantly, but it's definitely close. And, you know, imagine if this game got ported to the PS2. That would have been hilarious. You know what's interesting, though? I feel like this game's aesthetic sensibilities kind of make more sense for the PS2. Well, the PS2's always had, like, this clean thing going on with it, whereas the Xbox has always been a little bit gritty. But there's plenty of really gritty and dark games on PS2 as well. I think it's because of Blood Rain. Well, wasn't Blood Rain on Blood Rain's on Xbox as well. What am I talking about? But still, you ever just like associate a particular aesthetic with a certain console? It's also kind of crazy to think that if you were never into PC gaming, were very much a console-only person from that time, you would just think of Painkiller as an Xbox exclusive, which I guess would kind of make sense because it's also on PC, which, you know, is Microsoft, duh. You'd also think of Serious Sam as a Xbox exclusive for a long time until, what was the first oh, actually, that's a lie. I was going to ask myself, what was the first non-Xbox release of a Serious Sam game? Next Encounter, which came out in like 2004. For both PlayStation 2 and GameCube. And funnily enough, the GameCube version was actually way better. It's quite common for the GameCube version to not receive quite the same amount of attention, even though the system was more powerful because, well, it didn't sell quite as well as the PS2 now did it. So why would they spend that much time on the version that's probably not going to sell as well? Duh. Even though oftentimes, just by virtue of the better capabilities of the GameCube, games would often end up being inadvertently better, even if they were lower effort. Like, for example, Need for Speed Underground 1 and 2, especially Need for Speed Underground 1, I actually recommend you play it that way. I recommend you just emulate that version instead of playing the PC version, because the PC version is a fucking mess unless you... I mean, maybe there's some fan patches that can fix it, I'm not sure, but I've had some really bad experiences with that version. But on GameCube, apart from like the very start of a race when everyone's clumped together, after that moment, the game runs at a damn near solid, like just constant 60 FPS. And what's funny is that actually is a sign of laziness because he just didn't cap the game, right? On PS2, it's supposed to be capped to 30, and it's like a pretty much constant 30. I don't think there's many dips. I've played the PS2 version as well, but on GameCube, the moments of 60 FPS definitely outweigh the chugs. Like, it runs very smoothly. And for the longest time, before PCSX2 had texture swapping capabilities, I used to be a huge fan of that version also because I love to... Let's turn this down. It's a little bit loud. I mean, I'm going to turn it down for myself. I'm probably going to just edit the audio however loud it has to be anyway. I like to turn it down a little extra for when I'm doing games like this with just a lot of noise, because I really don't want it to interfere with my voice, of course. But yeah, before PCSX2 had usable texture swapping, I used to love the GameCube version just because of how easy it is for me to just dump and swap the textures. So I'd put like random shit on billboards and cars and stuff like that, and I'd update the UI. I used to have this obsession with like updating UI elements in games. Not that I don't like practice doing something similar to this day. Of course, I do open up Photoshop and I do stuff, but it's like, back then I used to like just every game I would start it and like, okay, first thing I gotta do is change every goddamn texture, be it to just update it for a higher resolution or make it match what my keyboard is set to or whatever it might be. I don't know why I used to be so obsessed with doing that. I guess it was just because of the possibility, you know, when I discovered it was just like, oh my god, I can make the game my own. That's why, if you remember way back when my old Shadow the Hedgehog video, it looks like I'm playing some forgotten PC version because of the button inputs. I've changed the prompts so that they actually reflect my keyboard. Now, of course, you know, I don't really do that much today, even when I kind of should, I feel like. But honestly, it's just because some games will have like all these different instances of the same button, and it gets really confusing, and oftentimes my attempts will slightly clash with the art style. That's actually a real art to it, trying to match an existing art direction in that way, you know? It's actually quite difficult because every game has such a distinct style, even to something as small as the button inputs. But anyway, this is the Painkiller, as I was saying. I love this weapon so fucking much. It's so effective. And not only that, it just feels great. Too many melee weapons in these kind of games will feel like you're not actually making contact. You're just kind of swiping the air and you happen to be close to the enemy. In this case, no. Like you... Oh, fuck yeah. We have to go Super Saiyan again. I mean, you know what I mean. We get to go Super Demon mode. Just like in Area 51, which I kept fucking forgetting I could do to restore my health. Interesting, 2 games from the mid-2000s where you restore your health by killing things, except here I think it's done a little bit better and it's more satisfying. Although I do agree with Yahtzee's all-decade-and-something old criticism regarding the how long it takes for the souls to leave the enemy's bodies. That is a little annoying. You just kind of got to sit around and wait for that. You got to take full advantage of this thing. Although I don't think it's that big of a deal that when you're about to transform, it doesn't really give you the choice to transform because it does give you a warning, admittedly. Do I have any? Oh, yes, I have some more ammo. It does give you a warning, like the screen will flash a couple times, so I guess you could choose to not pick up the next few, because you kind of got to go out of your way to pick them up as it is, so, you know, it's like, oh, I'm about to transform, I don't want to do that too soon, so you can go ahead and not pick up a couple of souls just so that, you know, you don't end up transforming a little bit prematurely. Are we almost done? I think the level's almost over. Yeah, this is the end of the level. Let's go jump in. We're not done quite yet. There's still a couple more minutes left to go because that last level didn't quite fill up the time slot that I thought that I will. You know, sometimes I unironically feel like I talk like a real-life version of that fucking John Arbuckle from Garfield meme. You know the one where he's pulling something out of the oven and he talks like he just had a stroke? Sometimes I sound like that. You know why? What's really funny about this level in particular, why I picked it actually, other than the fact that it's quite short, though I'm probably still not going to end up finishing it. I really don't want to go over time. I'm just going to play it for just a little bit longer and we'll call it a day. But you know what's really interesting about this level in particular? That it's one of those instances of a, you know, slightly later into the game level that feels like an entry, like a first level. And you know why? Not just because of the level, the way it's designed in general, but also the fact that it literally is the first level if you've only ever played Painkiller Special Edition. You know what that is? Well, remember back when, like, games had these, like, weird low-budget releases where it's, like, a few of the levels or something? Not like a demo, it's more than a demo, and it costs money. Yeah, like, I think Serious Sam had some of that as well, didn't it? Lots of games had these, like, special editions where it's, like, just a cut-down version of the game. And yeah, I was curious, because I know I've already played the full version, but I was scrolling through the Internet Archive and I found this, like, Painkiller Special Edition. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Did some digging. Turns out it was just exactly what I thought it was, but I downloaded it anyway just to, you know, check it out. Oh, the frame rate's kind of chugging here. Not sure how much of that is the recording. It might just be the game itself. I mean, look at how much shit there is on screen at once. So yeah, obviously the frame rate isn't super consistent, but you gotta remember this is a piece of hardware from 2001. Being emulated on a piece of hardware 19 years later, but you know, whatever. I wonder if it's even worth getting a new CPU. I've considered doing that, except, well, to be fair, for the socket I'm currently using, I'd only be able to go from like a 10700F to a 10900 or something, because it's the same socket. We need to basically just change my motherboard, which is not that it's impossible to do that, because I could just transfer the hard drive over, transfer everything else over, and it would still work, I imagine. But it's not worth it. I mean, like, the game's running just fine now that I've killed all the enemies. Plus, you're probably not going to be able to tell. But where was I? Fuck. What was I talking about? It wasn't the music. It wasn't the game. It was, oh yeah, the cut-down version. So basically, that version of the game, the Special Edition, it uses this as the first level. And what's funny is that, like, sometimes when a game does set that sort of shit, where, like, it puts a mid-game level or whatever, well, this isn't a mid-game level, but it's definitely a later level into the game. When it puts it, as a first level, for whatever reason it might be, you can really tell. It's like, well, what the fuck? Why are we starting at this level of difficulty? Here, nah, this is really easy. This is easier than some of the previous levels. In fact, this is definitely easier than the Opera House stage I just played. In fact, you know what else? I just realized this is actually, the levels in the game in their order, at least for this version, are inverted, kind of, versus the Special Edition. Because the Special Edition, you do this level, and then immediately after you would go on to the, I think the Asylum stage, and then you move on to, like, that shitty swamp boss fight. I don't remember. It's a weird cut-down version of the game, but I do actually kind of like versions of games like that, because it gives you, like, a more condensed experience. Even if they're totally obsolete after you get, like, the full one. Or, in the case of some games where, like, they become abandonware, and it's like, well, what's the point then? Just download the full one anyway, because they're both free. But you get the idea, right? Also, it really confuses me how some people genuinely refuse to acknowledge the existence of abandonware. Like, oh, there's no such thing as abandonware. It's still piracy. It's like, what? Okay. So, fuck me if I want to play Need for Speed Porsche Unleashed then, or Need for Speed Underground 1, or Hot Pursuit 2. It's like, well, screw you. I use Need for Speed as an example for that because you have licensed music and licensed cars. Those kind of racing games become abandonware very quickly just because of the way laws work, right? So it still amazes me. The games as recent as, like, 2017, for example, are abandonware. Project Cars 2, Project Cars 1, that was 2015. Dirt 4 as well. Abandonware. Like basically you can't get them anymore. It's like, what the fuck? Commercially discontinued. Dirt Rally as well. It just amazes me because, yeah, that's how it works, unfortunately, right? Or some games, are running the risk of becoming lost, like something like a Drive Club. Now, granted, PS4 emulation is making great progress. Personally, I'm not super interested in it, at least not right now, and honestly, I don't know if I can even afford to be interested in it. I don't know how my PC is going to handle that, so I'm just not even going to touch it until like my next big upgrade, which will probably be in several years, because I just don't really see the point in upgrading. Like, you don't really have to that much for certain kinds of games. It doesn't really matter. But the point is, though, that I really do hope that PS4 emulation makes games like Drive Club, you know, it preserves them forever, because holy shit, imagine if that becomes straight up lost media. Not abandonware, but lost media. That's horrifying. That game is amazing. That game's really good. I've never played it. I've never touched that game in my life, but I can just tell, just from the way it plays, just from what I've seen from other people's videos, that it is a fantastic piece of work. And it would be such a shame if it becomes just basically unplayable. But I'm sure there will be a way at some point. Maybe someone will reverse engineer it. I don't know. Motherfucker. Okay, trying to aim at these guys like this is kind of a bitch and a half, and that witch is just the worst thing in the world. I'm definitely going to end the episode right about here. Just, oh, what the fuck? Get back here. Get back here, you cunt. Oh, there you go. That wasn't actually all that hard. Did I get her? I think now we only have one more. Oh, him. This game is this weird thing where the enemies just don't really stand out much. Like, the Asylum level just has all these enemies that are literally just sitting on the floor, not doing anything, and you still have to shoot them anyway, just because they're enemies. So it makes it really hard to tell. The like, wait, what am I supposed to do? Oh, shoot the guy on the floor, right? When's the next checkpoint anyway? Okay, I think we've gone on for long enough. Let's just, I'm gonna commit. Actually, no, I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna sit here and have the music play out because it's really cool and stuff. And I'll just call it a day. This has been Focus on B, the single-part video series where I take a look at a game that I'm not really sure I want to do a Let's Play on, but I fucking love it, like this one. This is an awesome game. Whatever form it takes, PC, console, doesn't matter. It's Painkiller, man. It's awesome. It's like gritty Serious Sam. But I really like Serious Sam 2. Not like Serious Sam 2. That game is okay. It's not as, I don't think it's as, okay, the formula changed a little bit. Okay, let's not go on that tangent. It doesn't matter. So yeah, Focus on B. This has been Painkiller Hell Awards, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of Focus on B.